Macron takes a knee, bows down. They're scrapping the fuel tax. Unfortunately for Macron, it is too little, too late. And the people in France are feeling themselves at this point, and the general malaise of what they consider to be high taxes, low wages, they want that changed. They want a fundamental shift. Right now, this was the yellow vest. They celebrated with this win, but they want more. And not just they want more, other organizations are now getting involved. This wasn't the trade unions, this was purely just the yellow vests. And now the trade unions have started to also get involved in this protest, meaning the protests are going to get larger and more organized. And students. I've been watching student protests all day, or at least through my feed, where cops have lined them up at one point. But they themselves have come out and also started to protest. Take a listen to, before I go into the thing, this is one of the students.
Donc qu'on est mobilisé, on a bloqué notre lycée tous les matins. On est vraiment très déterminés et considère que manifester c'est un droit et que pour notre avenir on doit être là. Je proteste contre Parcoursup, la sélection à l'université, la réforme du lycée, du bac et l'augmentation des frais d'inscription à la fac. Maintenant avec le contrôle continu, l'insertion du contrôle continu dans les notes du bac, la valeur de notre bac et
I don't want them to I don't know if this has a thing that's on YouTube, so I don't want to go too far into this. But let's take a look at this one too. Those are the students. That's not even the yellow vests. These are going to get much larger. The question becomes, what is the end point to this? And is there an end point to this? Does Paris, or does France at this point, become something different? Does the government come to heel? Does the government collapse? What takes place in France? They have, 70, 80% of public support that are backing them on this. Oftentimes, when you have protests like this, it becomes a pain in the ass for the society to bear the protests, especially if they're not agreeing with you. But in this case, they are in full agreement with the protests, meaning these protests aren't going anywhere. Let me read through a bit of what took place. Macron eventually scraps it, meaning in the budget, the fuel tax that was going to be added. Like I said, they were upping gas like $7 a gallon. Or what's commiserate with it, like $7 a gallon. Essentially trying to deal with environmental issues on the backs of the poor, instead of raising taxes on his own section of his own class. Right here. Macron scraps French fuel tax rise amid national protests and rioting in Paris. The wild part about it is, initially they gave him crumbs. They were like, okay, we'll put this on hold for 6 months. They just wanted things to calm down, in which case then they were going to reintroduce it. The people got pissed off more so when they did that, and this essentially had a whole new round of protests and riots. Emmanuel Macron has scrapped the fuel tax rise following weeks of nationwide protests in France and the worst rioting in Paris in decades. Protesters celebrated the victory on Wednesday, but critics said Macron's surrender came too little, too late, and is unlikely to quell the mounting anger at the president, whom demonstrators consider out of touch with ordinary people. Amid fears of new violence, Macron decided to get rid of the tax planned for next year, an official for the president's office said. Prime Minister Eduardo Philippe told lawmakers that the tax is no longer included in the 2019 budget. The Yellow Vest protests began on November 17th after the government planned to raise taxes on diesel and gasoline. But by the time Macron bowed to 3 weeks of violence and abandoned the new fuel tax, protesters were demanding much more. Many workers in France are angry over the combination of low wages, high taxes, high unemployment, and have left many people struggling financially. These are issues of policy. These are not issues of God. On Tuesday, the government agreed to suspend the fuel tax rise for 6 months, but instead of appeasing the protesters, it spurred another groups to join in, hoping for concessions of their own. The protests took on even bigger dimensions on Wednesday, with trade unions and farmers vowing to join the fray. That's amazing. Mr. Philippe said the tax is now abandoned in the 2019 budget and the government is ready for dialogue. The budget can be renegotiated through the year. But given the scale of the recent protests, Mr. Macron is unlikely to revive the added fuel tax idea anytime soon. Jacqueline Mourad, one of the self-proclaimed spokespeople for the spokesman. Call him a spokesman. Why are you calling spokespeople? Spokesman for the disparate yellow jacket or yellow vest movement, said Mr. Macron's concession comes much too late, unfortunately. It's on the right path, but in my opinion, it will not fundamentally change the movement, she said. They want more. They want more. They feel themselves now. You've waited too long, sir. Mr. Macron's popularity, and by the way, if you're going to do some kind of environmental change, you can't do it on the backs of the poor. Are you fucking kidding me? You're charging them $7 a gallon for gas. You have a society that is already in difficult straits and you're putting more on their backs while giving your rich, fellow plutocrats tax cuts. Yeah, they should be pissed off. Mr. Macron's popularity has slumped to new lows since the demonstrations began. The former investment banker, who has pushed pro-business economic reforms to make France more competitive globally, has accused of being president of the rich. I love that. Of being estranged from the working class. On Wednesday, France's largest farmer union said it will launch anti-government protests next week after trucking unions call for rolling strikes. Trade unions so far have not played a role in the Yellow Vest protest movement, but are now trying to capitalize on the growing public anger. A joint statement from the CGT and the FO trucking unions call for actions on Sunday night to protest cuts in overtime rates. The FNSEA Farmers Union said it would fight to help French farmers earn a better income, but would not officially be joining forces with the Yellow Vests, protesters wearing high visibility vests that motorists are required to keep in their cars. And by the way, even the police agree with this, because police are also going to get hit with these taxes. They're human beings, they're people, they're just working stiffs like all these other people. Even though they're working stiffs that beat the shit out of the public, that they're supposed to be, I'm not going to get into that part. I'm just saying, even they agree. The high school students' FIDL union called for massive protests on Thursday and urged French education minister to step down. One student was injured during the protests at a high school in Saint-Jean-de-Bray in north central France. BFM said he was shot in the head with a rubber bullet. Ghislaine Guillard, spokesman, now you call him a spokesman, but the other guy was a spokesperson. The spokesman for the regional school administration said the student was expected to survive. Oh, that's positive. Until he scrapped the fuel tax, Macron's actions after returning from the G20 summit in Argentina had done little to persuade protesters that he was listening to their concerns. Because he wasn't. He put on a tough guy act, and didn't necessarily want to bow down to public pressure. But the fact of the matter is, there's something about this that I love. I love that they're not taking any shit off of the government in this case. I love that they're holding the government accountable. I love that they're out on the streets and putting their bodies on the line and saying, we don't like this. This is not an act of God. These are policies that the government has been taking that are making our lives difficult. You put austerity on us while giving tax cuts to the rich. We could see what you are doing. We're not stupid. We're not insane. We can absolutely see that you're giving one share of the population wealth while putting it on our backs. Vive la France. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but long live France. I love this. This should be more readily available in America. I'm sorry. I have low energy right now. I've been up all night and I haven't been able to sleep. So when real men don't sleep, real men do the news. So that's what I'm doing. The Yellow Vests have completely won until they get rid of Macron. Yes, that's true. But it's not just getting rid of Macron. It's also, it's a system change. Like, I don't think they're just trying to, like, they're looking for something fundamentally different than what they have there. Until they get that, I don't think they're going to be satisfied. But yeah, they want to get rid of Macron. So I will end this here. Jamarl, will you visit France on your world tour? I would love to visit France. I don't know if we're going to get the opportunity. It's funny. I was talking to one of my I don't know if she's a patron, but she's a subscriber. And I was telling her, my wife and I are going to Germany, but that's probably the closest that we're going to get to France. I guess I could try to take a train, but that's going to be sometime during the week. The issue is treatments. That's the only thing. Our trip is some degree conforming to the various areas where we get treatments and other stuff. But I don't know. Maybe it depends on if I can try to get away from Germany in order to take a trip to France. So yeah, I'm a patron and I'm from Germany. Wexler 75. Fucking A. Got to get an autograph. You're from Germany. Oh, you're in Germany. We're going to Berlin. Where are you? Which part of Germany are you in? And you saw autograph. You mean just a signature to autograph? I'm on YouTube. What part of Germany are you in? Are you in Berlin? Munich. Okay, you're in Munich. But Berlin is fine. Yeah, Berlin is relatively close. Maybe send me an email. Send me an email. I might get a beer or something like that. I'm already potentially going to meet one of my subscribers in Romania. I think she's in Transylvania, so that should be fascinating. But yeah, man, maybe. Yeah, just send me an email. All right, guys. I apologize for the low energy. I am dragging ass. So I'm going to end this here. But those protests aren't going anywhere. I don't want those protests to go anywhere.